What's up, you guys? Check out this beautiful hallway I'm in. My hair is looking very, very messy because it was raining outside and then I didn't get to fix it up. But anyways, I just wanted to talk today a little bit about being selfish, or the concept of being selfish, and how it's used to kind of control people and keep people as average as possible. And I'm here to tell you, if you're watching this video, my gosh, my hair is just way too messy, that being selfish is not actually as selfish as they tell you. And if you think about all the times when in the past people told you that if you do X, you're being selfish. If you take care of yourself, if you go to the gym, if you do yoga, if you get your nails done, if you're being selfish. If you don't give them X, if you don't do X for so-and-so, if you don't come visit so-and-so, if you don't lend money to your, friend or your family member or whatever it is that you didn't do for somebody else makes you selfish because they wanted something and you didn't give it to them. And I think that really comes from a lot of times it comes from our moms. And not to dunk on moms, but moms have this thing called mommy guilt, and it's this thing that society gives to moms. It's like a collective guilt that society puts on mothers, that they say oh, if you don't spend time with your kids, if you go to work, if you do anything for yourself, if you go get your nails done, if you do literally, if you take a nap, if you literally do anything for yourself to make yourself happier, to better yourself, you're being selfish. And it's kind of like a societal thing that moms have in many cases internalized, and then they also pass it on to their kids. And it comes from something nice. It comes from wanting to take care of your kids, but often it becomes kind of like toxic guilt. So moms have this guilt of oh no, I can't let's say do the thing I love because it makes me selfish and I'm not spending time around my kids. Well, guess what? Your kid wants you to be happy. And I know that it sounds all hippy-dippy and silly and superficial when I say this, but one thing that a lot of moms don't understand is that it's scientifically proven that if you're happy, your kids are gonna be much happier. There's a 3 to 6 times, percent, 300 to 600% chance that your kid is going to be happier. And don't take my word for it, take the word of actual professors and scientists that have done these studies that show that kids who come from families where the parents are struggling, they're depressed, they're not taking care of themselves, those kids are likely to be even more depressed for up to 6 generations, much more depressed than even their parents were. So those parents will kind of do things that are bad for them. They'll not do things that are good for them. They'll kind of hold off on life because they think it's going to be better for their kids, but they don't realize that they might actually be hurting their kids because they're giving into this feeling of guilt that doing something good for themselves is selfish. And I think it also just applies to so many other things in life. Think about economies where people are mostly self-sufficient and how much dramatically better they are than economies where people are taught and raised culturally to be very dependent on their communities and the people around them. There's, and it's not just me saying this, this about yourself. Nobody can help you better than you can help yourself. Nobody knows what you need better than you know what you need for yourself. No matter how much other people will yell in the streets and tell you what's good for you, you know deep down what's good for yourself. Imagine if you lived in a culture where people believed in self-sufficiency and taking care of oneself, so that you don't have to be dependent on every single person around you, so that everybody doesn't drag each other down. Imagine if everybody put the same energy that they put into dragging everybody else down to just lifting themselves up. And imagine if you lived in a society like that. And there are societies like that, and there are societies that are more like that than other societies, and those societies tend to have much better economies. They tend to have less crime, tend to have less issues. The more social welfare programs you'll see in a certain country or like a group of individuals, the more codependency you're going to see, the more problems you'll see. It's just, it's just the result of people not taking care of themselves. And a lot of it comes from the feeling of guilt and the idea that if you do things for yourself and you're taking care of your body, you're taking care of like the things that you want, you're taking care of your finances, then you're being selfish. You know what? What if we flip that on its head and say, if you don't take care of yourself, if your future kid, if your kids are gonna have to end up taking care of you because you're just like a total mess, because you haven't been taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, your future, your finances, you're being very selfish. You're actually being incredibly selfish. And I can't even tell you how selfish you're being. In fact, I know so many people who have held off on getting married, having kids, falling in love, doing things they love in life, going, traveling places, living life just because they had to take care of their parents. Because their parents were these people that felt guilty taking care of themselves because they thought that was selfish. Well, guess what? They're doing the ultimate selfish thing, which is holding their children back in life. And, it's normal to, it's important actually for people to take care of their elders and people take care of their parents. And I love that actually. I think it's important, and I would want my future kids to want to take care of me, but I wouldn't want it to be because I didn't take care of myself. I would want to have done everything I possibly could to make sure that I'm self-sufficient and happy, and to make sure that I've invested sufficiently in myself, that I filled my own cup first and then tried to fill other people's cup, and then another cup, and then another cup. And the definition of like a really powerful person is someone who's like, their cup is so full that they're able to like fill into like another cup and another cup, and like, not just their inner circle, but then the outer circle and the outer circle. If you're not powerful enough to fill your own cup, you shouldn't be trying to fill anybody else's cup. And that doesn't make you selfless, it makes you selfish. Do you know why? Because you're gonna keep being a burden on the universe if you don't take care of yourself. And if you allow yourself to fall apart and become miserable and upset and unhealthy, there's absolutely nothing selfish about taking care of yourself and being good for yourself and investing in yourself. I'm not telling you to like trample on other people. I'm telling you to take care of yourself. Focus on number one and understand and recognize that that's good for number two and number three and number four and everybody around you. And in fact, people, you don't realize how much of an effect just your being happy and your being okay has on other people. Like, you can't even know how much it affects the people around you, especially the people that love you. When you're happy, just going out on the street and smiling at people, like one of the things that makes me cry whenever I go to New York City is that everyone is just so depressed. And so like, even if you're in a good mood, you go outside and like, you just look at people and they look like they want to cry, like, and it makes you want to cry, like, especially if you're an empath and you absorb other people's emotions. Imagine if those people took care of themselves. They don't have to do a thing for me. They just have to take care of themselves and be happy. Imagine if they exercised in the mornings and before I saw them, they just looked a little happier, felt a little lighter. And they just made my day just by being that way, That's not selfish. There's absolutely nothing selfish about that. And I wish, and I see people changing their attitudes a little bit over time, but, I think it's really important. But anyways, yeah, there was my TED Talk rant. And you like my background? It's like a cool, like, you know, decor window and brick style. But yeah, still in Bogota, and I will see you guys in the next video.